welcome all of you to this exclusive special session. And we have a very, very special mentor and guest with us today. She's going to speak to you about a topic which is very, very close to her heart. She's none other than Nisha Jamwal, ma'am. Hi, Nisha, ma'am. How are you?
A very warm hello to all of you and to Akshita, who's put this together and looked at every single detail so thoughtfully and so warmly.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So all of you know that Nisha ma'am is a celebrity columnist. She's a luxury consultant. She's launched so many products for so many luxury brands. She's held so many luxury events for them. She's an interior architect. She's been on the jury panel for the Times Unlimited Entrepreneurs for Women, and she's an activist for equal rights for the specially abled. She works with the government promoting craft and art, and she's a woman who has an eye for aesthetics, an eye for design, and that's very well evident from the way she carries herself, the way she presents herself. And I have to say that it was in December 2019 that I had the honor to meet her personally at an event which was based on art, and she was invited as the chief guest and jury there to judge the entire art put up by all the finalists. I was invited as a guest of honor. So I had this honor to share the podium with her. And I have to say, Nisha ma'am, I was completely floored and enamored by the way you carry yourself. You're an amazing personality who has that impact on the opposite person. And that's why we have you today. You're the right person to teach all the ladies out here how to make that powerful presence. When you enter a room, everybody in the room is looking at you and no one else, whether you're wearing a crown, not wearing a crown. Because for me, I may be a pageant queen, but you are the one who's always wearing her invisible crown.
Thank you so much. That's a pleasure to hear from a woman who herself is a woman of substance and who's worked so hard to arrive where she is and is still working and taking her success to help other women become women achievers. What better than to use your success and use what God has given you to empower other women. So my heartiest congratulations to Akshita Prabhu.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, I had a small inquisitive aspect that I wanted to share with you. I was going through your resume, your bio, your introduction, and I read that Lord Jeffrey Archer, who's one of the most noted authors, one of the international authors, and always in the top 10 for the international authors list by most of the international publications. He has written, or rather quoted you with your original name in his book. What is the story that you shared with him and he could write about you in his book?
Well, he's written my real story, which is a story of challenge as well as triumph. I think life, ladies, all you ladies who are here today, life is full of troughs and triumphs. And I suppose that he found my story exciting. He found it interesting. He also found the challenges I've gone through very unique. He found himself writing the story. And when he told me that he's writing my story, I can't say that I was, I was overjoyed or I was not overjoyed. I was just left very confused because we take our own story so much for granted, isn't it? Soon after, when he wrote the story, he chose a name for me which I didn't like. So I said, I don't like the name at all. So he said, okay, you choose a name. And I chose a name that he didn't like. And then he said to me, why don't we just call you Nisha Jamwal in the book? So I am Nisha Jamwal in the book, the bestseller. It's my true story. It's called And Thereby Hangs a Tale. The very little secret that I'm going to share with you for the first time, I haven't spoken about this, is this story was chosen by readers worldwide as one of the favorite stories by readers. And so this story is being made into a special book with illustrations of my life. That book should be out because of the lockdown, because of COVID. The book has not been released in London. I was supposed to be in London as we speak to release the book at the Paul Cox Gallery in London with the illustrations on the walls. But man proposes and God disposes, and so the book's going to be released virtually. And I hope that all of you will look at it and see the person that you're going to be speaking to today.
Absolutely. All the finalists, there's this secret that Nisha ma'am has shared with all of you for the first time on this platform, and I think all of you should make the most of this opportunity. So moving on, Nisha ma'am, social event and dining etiquette. Now I have met you in person, and I have to say the way you conduct yourself is completely commendable and phenomenal. So there's so much that all the guys, all the ladies have to learn today from you. So how would you start with this topic? What is the most, how to break that ice?
I want to start by telling you what I've been doing for the last week. I've been seeing a serial on television called Bleak House. It's a series by BBC, and it's based on the story by Charles Dickens about the book Bleak House. And there's a character, an aristocrat called Lady Dedlock. And she has the most challenging life with all sorts of very guttural men blackmailing her because she has a past. You know what I noticed? There are lots of things you can take away from this story. But for me, my takeaway was that this lady, despite all the challenge and despite all the blackmail and humiliation, not once did she let go of her etiquette, of her grace, of the expression on her face. Not once did she raise her voice. Not once did she let go of her cool and composure. And can I tell you why that happened? Because I introspected. It's not because she was wearing a veil of etiquette. She was not wearing a veil of composure. Right. So ladies, the one thing, you know, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to rattle off 20 points of, you know, walk like this with your leg in front of each other and put a book on your head so that your posture is straight. You can get that in any book you buy for maybe 100 rupees. I want to leave you with something that changes your life forever. I want this session of whatever, you know, 1 hour, 1.5 hours for you to be a game changer. And if there's one thing I could leave you with, it's that the composure, the equanimity, the calm, the etiquette has to come from your heart. It cannot come like a switch that you put it on when you're around 20 people and you carry your bag right and you open your chest with your good posture, and then you come home and you shout at your staff or your housekeeper and you're ill-tempered with your family and you slouch and sit like this and your hair goes all over the place. Etiquette, composure, grace, dignity, it has to be even when you're washing your face in the bathroom. You cannot, I see so many people, they have a beautiful living room. And then you go to the restroom and it's so not well groomed. And so taking from that metaphor of the living room, the outside, the superficiality being beautiful and the inside lacking in value systems, that is a sure shot way of losing the game. Right. So the reality of a successful woman or a successful man is when you begin to bring change in your everyday life. And I've seen a lot of people are very warm to outsiders and very offhand. They don't use their P's and Q's. I mean, how many of you actually say thank you for your cup of tea to the person giving you your cup of tea? I'd say be kinder to the smaller people and be nice to your seniors. But start with the little people in your life who don't have a voice. You know, when I was asked, I studied in Los Angeles, when I was asked, Nisha, what would you look for in a man? We had a group discussion. We used to have a, you know, a personality building class. And I've studied interiors architecture. Do you know, in America, you have personality building nearly in every curriculum that you engage in.
That is true.
So a lot of women asked, you know, said, oh, we want a man with a Ferrari, and we want a man with, you know, he should give me a solitaire of 50 carats. And I said, I want a man who's kind to the little people. Right since that young age, I knew that I didn't want to be with a person who I couldn't respect. And I cannot respect somebody who's not polite intrinsically from inside. So the takeaway I'm going to give you before we get into, you know, the superficialities of etiquette is that start from inside and the beauty reflects outwards. Right. And one of the women I admire from the Indian firmament of pageantry is Sushmita Sen. Because she's a close friend, somebody I love. And I think she's the only true Miss Universe because I've met lots of them. But that woman's heart is kind, generous, and thoughtful from within. And that shines into her eyes. Even if she doesn't wear eyeliner, the shine stays there. And it comes from within. So the first thing about etiquette that I'm going to share with you, like Lady Deadlock, is that whatever happens, Akshita asked me about Jeffrey Archer's story on me. He wrote a story because my adult life started with immense challenge, immense pain, immense disappointment. But we build and we learn and we grow and we become strong. So let's begin. Point 2, let's begin to see every challenge and every tragedy as a learning, as a growth, as something that's going to build your character, literally like you sitting with Nisha Jamwal. Life is the greatest teacher, ladies. So my advice to you would be to take any form of challenge by the horns and behave with decorum and composure and keep your smile intact. Keep your eyes warm and test yourself from today. When you get up in the morning and somebody brings your tray to you, say thank you. Or say some little kind word, point 3, to every person that you meet every day. Imagine if you were to touch everyone's heart in some small way. There is somebody who is known to be a grooming person. But I've seen her lose her temper so often with people. So tell me, what is the use of the Gucci heels? What is the use of the tightly penciled dress and figure? And what is the use of coiffed hair that you spend hours over in your parlor? When somebody sees you, when your guard is down and you're behaving badly, tell me. So start with your cook, start with your watchman, start with the person who stands at your gate. Wish him when you enter the gate. Say, good morning, Chotu. Good morning, Bahadur. Good morning, watchman. And see life change. So etiquette is a lot about value systems, reality from within, composure, and going from inside to outside. Not from outside to outside. Because anyone can get a blow dry, buy a dress today. You get dresses starting from, you know, a few hundreds on the internet. And anyone can do their nails. But very few people can train their minds, their voices, and their temper. So training your temper, Lord Krishna said to Arjun, is like holding the reins of a chariot and holding back like Lady Deadlock when life lets you down very, very badly. Ladies, the first impression that you make when you enter a room is quite obviously your look. But before your dress and your shoes and your nails, it's your eyes and your smile and your posture. So if you talk to somebody like this, you are going to communicate body language that is that's lacking in confidence and lacking in composure. So the first thing to remember is open your heart. And when I say open your heart, I mean it metaphorically and literally. Stand with your shoulders behind. And there is a way to change your posture forever. You interlace your fingers behind your body and hold yourself at least once a day so that your shoulders train themselves to go back. Secondly, your smile. Please don't allow it to be a fake smile. Let it come from your heart. Begin to feel warmth even for people who you don't like that much. That's a game changer. Always. Now, things are changing drastically since I think February, when we heard about COVID. So I can't tell you that give your hand for a nice firm shake. You don't do that anymore. So you perhaps could, like the Japanese, I've lived and studied in Japan as well, in a village called Ibaraki. You could, like the Japanese, bow a little bit, or you could say namaste because you're Indian. And considering Prince Charles has decided to say namaste. So you can begin by saying namaste or bowing a little bit until things come back to normal. Always remember a person's first name. Not only the first name, but the second name also. So I'd say, how lovely to see you, Akshata Prabhu. And then you morph into Akshata. Let her know that you remember her. If you don't, should you fake it or should you use finesse? I'd say use finesse. In this one case, it's not the best thing to let a person know that you've forgotten already. So try and find out through your conversation what her name is. Try not to say things like, recently I was at the lobby of President Hotel and somebody came and said, Nisha, I'm so happy to see you. Do you know who I am? And, I said, yes, of course, because I didn't want to hurt her. And she said, tell me who am I and where have I met you? Now, that's a complete no-no. Never, ever put a person in a difficult spot. In fact, say, hi, I'm Nisha Jambal, in case you've forgotten. We met at so-and-so place, and it's such a pleasure to meet you again. Your aim is not to embarrass people. It's to endear yourself to people. And please, never, ever get over familiar by using words like babe and darling. I noticed a lot of women in India feel after meeting you for nearly half a day that you've become their best friend. That's not true. Relationships take time to grow. Give it that time. Give it that space to have longevity. If you want longevity, you work at a relationship. So it would be nice to say the first name, and it would be nice to keep your relationship with most people in the world, err on the side of caution, which means keep it a little formal. Keep it a little more dignified than, backslapping, touching people. And more now than ever, the new norm is, social distancing. I'm hoping that will change within a few months. Having said which, please do try to maintain decorum throughout your relationship. A great way to practice is on your mother and your father. I must tell you a secret. I find that sometimes parents don't say thank you and please. So there's no point teaching them, but you could say thank you and please, and they pick up from you. Like I said at the outset, you don't take your own people for granted ever. You start with people who you can take for granted and you work backwards. So I spoke to you about body language, posture, smile, look. Always sit, especially at a formal dinner, with your legs in front of you and your feet on the floor. Please try not to let your legs be all over the place, especially if you're wearing a dress. You have to be very careful of the little triangle that we all know of. No one wants to see your inner wear. And that brings me to inner wear these days. It's very cool to let your upper inner wear show. I would highly recommend against it. It speaks of bad grooming. I would recommend that you always make sure that straps, laces are all out of view. And that your attire, like I said, errs on the side of formality It's always safer to be formal, especially when you're going for an interview, for a dinner. If you are unsure of the, of the dress code, there's no harm sending a message to your friend or to the pageant hosts and saying, what would the attire be? My advice to you is it's always better to be a little more conservative than to be like a Christmas tree. Have you noticed how Indians, feel they're getting married when they go out? I mean, the neck piece is huge, the earrings are huge, everything is huge, the belt is bling. So try and cling to one focus point. Make it either one choker and one ring, because they're in two separate zones. Or wear only the big earrings, the chandeliers. So try to stick to one focal point. You know what? It's much better to blend in than to be standing out like a sore thumb, because did you know that people find it more easy to talk to somebody who's blending in? And when you're talking to somebody, you already know that you never, ever pick your phone and say, yeah, hi, how are you? How nice to see you. No, you don't do that. Because the message you're sending out is that you're less important to me, you don't matter, and I'm just talking to you on the side. No, the phone has to be far away from you, especially when you're at the dinner table. It must not be even placed on the table. If you are going to receive an important call from your mother, from your friend, from somebody who's going to fix an appointment tomorrow, please tell your host or your guest, I'm going to receive a call at some point, if you don't mind. Until that time, I'm going to keep the phone here, and I'm going to step out for 5 minutes to take the call, and I would like to apologize at the outset. So when you're looking at somebody, when you're talking to them, there's something known as a triangle. The triangle is this. It's your shoulders and your head. So the person you're looking at, you look at their face, you look at their shoulders. You're obviously not going to stare at their eyes continuously, right? So look at the triangle. You can look in the middle of their nose, you can look at their cheek, you can look at their shoulders. All this tantamounts to keeping eye contact. So you know that the body language of etiquette is eye contact, posture, staying focused, not looking beyond somebody's shoulder. Who else is coming who's more important? Yeah, it's okay, I've already captured you. Now I must look for other prey in the room. No. When you speak to somebody, like I said, it could be a waiter giving you a cup of tea, like when Akshata and I went to Taj, to inaugurate orthodontists. It could be your own cook. For that 1 minute, give eye-to-eye contact and remember to say please and thank you. Never, ever, ever leave your house without deodorant. Perfume can be missed, but deodorant cannot. So I was at a wedding around in December, and I had a roommate, and I asked her, I said, I can't find my deodorant. Do you think I could borrow yours if it's a spray? And she said, yes, of course, Nish. And she gave me a perfume. Do you know that so many people don't know the difference between a deodorant and perfume? A body odor, odor from your mouth, unkempt hair, straggy clothes are not what make a beauty pageant winner. Give up your raggedy jeans for now, even if Kareena Kapoor's wearing them. You're not Kareena Kapoor. You are you. You don't have to emulate people. You have to be the best version of yourself. You don't have to have a size 0 figure. You have to work with your body type and make yourself confident and beautiful. I'm not saying go on a binge. I'm not saying go against what your trainers are saying. All I'm saying is whatever is the best version of you, you have to be that. And that comes from an innate sense of confidence. So ladies, I must confide in you. There have been people in my life who've been very strong critics. Perhaps they felt they were being nice to me. But you have to be your strongest supporter, your strongest motivator, and your strongest critic. Please, even if it is your parents, do not allow people to demolish who you are and what you are. Please begin to write your own journal about what you like about yourself and what you don't. And perhaps there would be some takeaways you have from today. You could start working from here. But my point is, growing up is also about learning that your adults and the people who you've grown up with are not always right. They may have said very disparaging things to you. There could have been a teacher in your 5th grade who said something nasty. There could have been a friend who said, oh, your nose is so fat. Please trust me. People cannot judge you. And people cannot know what it is that you've gone through to be you. No one knows what I've been through in my life. And so it is only I who can actually sit here and feel proud and say, hey, you know, I came through all the hurdles, but maybe I could have done this differently. So start becoming your own best friend, because that's the beginning of the win. What happened to Sushant Singh Rajput? In my opinion, he was looking for accolades from the outside. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, when we look for accolades from the world, we set ourselves up for deep disappointment, ladies. We have to look for pointers from within. When you go out to dinner, there are some absolute no-nos. Never put your finger or your hands in your mouth. Never chew with your mouth open. Never ever reach out for a dish from far away. Always say, may I request you to pass this? And start at home, ladies. Start with your family, whoever's there in your family. Don't do this when you're outside. Start at home. Remember that you can never do what I'm doing in the webinar. I keep doing this. You never have to do this at dinner. You can never groom your hair at dinner. Try to keep your hands away from your hair or from your face or from your lips. Start from outside and come inside where crockery is concerned. That's the easiest thing. It's not important to remember each and everything on your table. If you can, no harm. But remember, your salad spoon is always on the outside. Your dessert spoon is always last. So that's how you work your way into your dinner. Also, ladies, remember about not keeping your phone on the table. I've already told you that. Never look at your phone while you're, having dinner with somebody. Maintain eye contact. Remember in communication to include everyone. Be an inclusive person. There's always going to be a very gregarious person holding stage, but there are going to be the mousy ladies or the boys who are going to be a little underconfident, a little worried, a little nervous. Somebody's hand's going to shake a little while eating. Draw them in. Be kind. Be helpful. Draw them into the conversation. If you're at a party and you see somebody sitting alone, say, why don't you join us? Never, ever, ever. I know it's the most exciting thing to do, but stay away from gossip. The worst etiquette is to start disparaging somebody in a group. You don't have to make the other people in the group feel bad or small about it. Keep quiet, smile, or maybe excuse yourself and join another group. Okay? And always remember that when you're eating, keep your mouth closed. Sometimes you forget. A great way for those people who find that they may not be very good at eating is to sit in front of a mirror and start practicing your smile, practicing how to eat. Practice makes you perfect and you're your best critic. So try and always work with yourself like I'm working on you. I mean, you become your best trainer, isn't it? About formal attire, I'm always one for, you know, a nice dress, whether it's full floor length or whether it's, you know, whether it's a cocktail dress. Try to stay away from too many prints. It's safer to go with color blocking. Color blocking always is safer in terms of your figure. If it's that time of the month, you end up looking a little more sleek. Like I said, I'm personally not in favor of drag jeans. I think as beauty pageant aspirants, you need to be always, you know, slightly more graceful than the rest. So work at it. Never ever allow a win or a loss to disparage your self-confidence. Everyone is a winner. So many times people who've not won are people who won in the game of life. So many people who failed exams became multimillionaires. Life is not about successes and about failures. Life is about learning. When I didn't come first, I remember I was mortified once. And then I think about my life today. I mean, none of you sitting on this group, on this panel today, even knows what my grades are, isn't it? And guess how miserable I must have been when my family said, oh, your cousins have patents in Stanford and Harvard, and look at you. You've come 12th. So it really doesn't matter in the long run where you stood in a grading game. What matters is how many hearts did you win? How did you overcome tragedy and anguish? How did you help people overcome tragedy and anguish? How nice were you to the little people? How did you cover up when you made a mistake socially? There's no need to feel embarrassed. We've all made mistakes. We have to be honest, and honesty is a great way to cover up a bad situation. It's always okay to say, oh gosh, I wonder what's happened to the dress. I mean, I walked the ramp and my dress has come under my foot. I've stopped on the ramp, corrected it rather than looking nonchalant, and taken to the mic and even laughed about it to the entire audience. There's nothing more disarming than to be honest and to be straight up about something that's not going right. Because always remember, ladies, that everyone you communicate with will have had, you know, it's so important to remember that everyone you meet in your life will have had ups and downs, isn't it? Isn't it? So I think I've pretty much covered whatever I set out to tell you about body language, appearance, inner wear, solid colors. I think I didn't talk to you about makeup. Makeup is always safer when it's less garish. You know, a little bit of nude, colors that are muted. Like I said, always err on the side of caution. It's always smarter to go a little understated than to be overstated. Sure, if you want to wear bright pink lipstick like I'm wearing, keep that your focal point in your face. Either let it be very dramatic, smoky eyes, or then just the lips. Please don't look like, you know, a clown that's about to perform. Because too much makeup can make you look like that. You know, garish colors on your eyelashes. You're not your regular society lady. You are somebody who's aspiring to be a beauty pageant, you know, a winner, a participant, somebody who has that in your resume. So for you, grace, culture, composure, calm, body language, understated attire, understated makeup, one focal point for jewelry, and you know, a graceful way of walking. Remember, when you're getting out of the car and you're wearing a dress, swivel both your legs out. You know how to do that, right? Swivel your legs out. You can't do one leg before the other because you know what's going to happen and what your driver is going to observe. You don't want him to observe those things, right? So please swivel both your legs together. Ladies, it's no longer a man's domain to hold a door or to pull out a chair. You can do it for your girlfriends too. Recently, I walked with a relative into a restaurant, and obviously I expected her to hold the door open for me, which she didn't. It just came thud on my face. So much for taking people for granted. You know, good manners is not about etiquette alone. It's about being considerate and kind. And that's why I started this entire talk with going from inside to outside. Until today, everyone's thought that it's all about appearance, how you hold your fork, how you roll your arms. We are no longer a British colony. So it's okay. It's okay to pronounce things in a little bit of an Indian way, but it's not okay to be inconsiderate and unkind. So please hold the door open for your friends, whether even if it's a man and you've entered a room earlier. Etiquette patterns change with time. In today's day and age, it's not only the domain of a gentleman, but it's also the domain of a lady to be considerate and to be kind, to be generous. Saying somebody's name beautifully, and when you grow close to the person, abbreviate it for affection. I think, Akshita, would you like us to morph into questions now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. In
Or
fact,
would you touch upon anything else? If that is the case, do let me know.
no, ma'am. In fact, you have touched upon most of the topics, right from body posture to the soft skills. And in fact, the main essence is that you opened everybody's eyes to the fact that etiquette stems from the inner values. It doesn't
Yes.
only rely on the exterior, and we give a lot of focus to physical attributes, and we think all the style, all the elegance stems from there. But actually, this is a myth that you have busted. I have to say this, and we're really thankful. Really, you've started it on a brilliant note. Be kind, be considerate. Start with your own family, start with the people who are around you, and then it will become a very much an integral part of your personality, and you'll carry it.
Akshita, I just want to mention one last thing to the ladies is that when you're invited to dinner, remember always to be punctual.
Right.
Worldwide, India is notorious for people coming late.
Yeah.
If you would like to be game changers, please go on time. If you keep a Zoom meeting call time, go 10 minutes earlier. If you are going to go to somebody who's hosting you, never forget to take a little token. It's not going to make you poorer. Avoid flowers, because scrounging for a vase at the last minute is not something your host wants to do. Offer to help. It's always gracious. We are slowly egging towards ways of the West where staff is beginning to wane. So always offer to carry your own glass to the kitchen, or at least to the credenza or the sideboard. Be a considerate host. And like I said, look for the wallflowers and include them. Just the last few things that I had forgotten, and I'm sure whatever else there is, we'll cover in our Q&A.